Hi everyone, I'm Kat and welcome to my channel, Naturally Beautiful Girl. So Burt's Bees has released a number of new makeup products recently, particularly cream blushes, bronzers, and highlighters. So I decided to pick them up and try them out because I've been having a love affair with cream blushes and cream highlights, and so I was really excited to see cream blushes and highlights that have better ingredients that are available at the drugstore, at Walmart, at Target. So I thought I would try them out for you guys. And also I'd been getting requests to try out the Burt's Bees concealer, so I also picked that up to try. And I also picked up their liquid lipstick formula as well. So I'm going to be trying out a blush, a cream highlighter, a cream bronzer, the Burt's Bees, the concealer, and the liquid lipstick. So I first want to start off by saying that I know that Burt's Bees doesn't have the best ingredients. It's not perfect in terms of ingredients, but I use Burt's Bees products and I like talking about Burt's Bees products on my channel because they have better ingredients. I believe all of them are cruelty-free. They're not necessarily vegan, but they are cruelty-free. And I like the fact that they are accessible. I like the fact that when I walked into Target last night, I was able to see a full display of Burt's Bees makeup right next to, Maybelline, Neutrogena. And that to me is important. And having that accessibility in terms of makeup with better ingredients is important. I wish the ingredients in Burt's Bees makeup was a little bit cleaner. These steps are important. So the fact that Burt's Bees does have better ingredients than what you would buy with like Revlon, Neutrogena, whatever, that's important. And I want to therefore review their products and talk about them because I think that they do deserve being talked about on my channel. So I'm first going to start off by just talking about each one of the products and showing you a demo of me using the products so you can see how they apply. First off, I'm going to start talking about the concealer because I've been getting a lot of questions about this concealer. When I reviewed the new Fit Glow Conceal Plus concealer, a lot of people were like, hey, can you also check out the Burt's Bees concealer? Why it has taken me so long to review this concealer is because at first they only had two shades. Two shades, that's it. There are way more skin tones than just two. And so that was totally inadequate. And now there are three, which is still totally inadequate, but the three now includes my shade. So at first they only had light and I believe like a medium shade, but now they have a fair. The fair was released fairly recently. I'm not entirely sure when, but it was not with the initial launch of the concealers, but they don't have anything like darker than like a medium shade, and that's it. So if you are not like fair, light, or medium, you're kind of having to look for the concealer. And so when it was just light, I knew that that shade would not be light enough for me, but now that there's fair, I was nervous that it wouldn't be light enough, but it turns out it actually is. So the fair does work for my skin tone, as you will see. What I like to do is I like to apply it under one eye and then blend it out with a damp beauty sponge. It is a drier consistency. In a lot of ways, it does remind me of the Fit Glow Conceal Plus formula in that it works best when you blend it out with a sponge. I've tried blending it out with my fingers. I've tried blending it out with a brush. A sponge definitely does the best job of blending out the product because it is kind of that drier, stickier consistency. And also, if you notice, I only do one eye at a time. Also, because of that reason, I find that when I put the concealer on both eyes, by the time I get over to the other eye is already too dry to blend out that well. So if I do one eye at a time, that definitely works a lot better. My thoughts on this concealer: it's not nearly as full coverage as a lot of other concealers I've tried. The Fit Glow Conceal Plus has way more coverage. My Alima Pure Cream Concealer has more coverage. The Elate Concealer has more coverage. The Hint Beauty Duet Concealer has way more coverage. I don't dislike this concealer because even though it doesn't have a ton of coverage, I find it to be quite brightening. I think you can see that in the clip of me applying the concealer. You can still see my dark circles and you can still see it here and now. My dark circles are not completely erased, but it looks a lot brighter than it did before. If you are a very light makeup person or a no makeup person, someone that doesn't want to look cakey, that someone that doesn't want to look heavy, that doesn't want to look like they have a ton of concealer under your eyes, I think if you have more mature skin, also this might be really good. It might not get as crepey and heavy under your eyes. I think this could work well. If I have really, really bad dark circles, this concealer doesn't cut it for me. But I have found that like this concealer works well when I want a really light makeup look. For instance, when I was in Cape Cod, I brought this concealer along with me because I realized that it would work well with the kind of aesthetic I was going for in terms of makeup. I wanted something that was very light, that didn't look like I was wearing makeup. So I would actually throw this concealer on after I put on my sunscreen when we were going to the beach, because I have really fair skin and my dark circles have been pretty bad recently, and so I don't feel entirely comfortable wearing no under eye concealer. But I would just put a little bit of this on under my eyes, blend it out with my sponge, set it with a 14E powder, which I should mention, this concealer does dry and set quite a bit on its own. So even though I have really oily skin, all I need to do to set it is just hit it with a little bit of 14E powder. I don't need my RMS unpowder. I don't need to bake. I just need to set it with a little bit of powder and it's locked in place and good to go. But when I did that, when I was at the beach, it concealed everything, but because it's not so full coverage, it didn't look like I was wearing concealer. It kind of blended in with the fact that I wasn't wearing foundation, that I just had on sunscreen, but it just made my under eyes look a little bit brighter. So if you want something that's not full coverage, but that's going to brighten under your eyes and is a very low maintenance concealer, I would recommend this one. This concealer doesn't build on itself super well. You can build it a little bit, but it just doesn't build up that well. And it doesn't really work for me for concealing acne because it is a lighter coverage. Overall, the problem with this is that there's only 3 shades. Burt's Bees really needs to come out with more shades. They have more shades in their foundation than they do in this concealer. It really is quite sad. Now we're gonna move on to the cream blush, highlight, and bronzer. So there are a couple shades of the cream blush. I have the cream blush in the shade Blush Bay. It's this just generic kind of rosy pink shade. And I was surprised by this because when I first swatched this product, and I mentioned this in my Get It Ready With Me, which is where I first ever tried out this blush and also the highlight stick, so I will link that video up above so you can check it out. When I first swatched this blush, the swatch was not that pigmented, it was not that intense, but as I've been trying out this blush and using it more and more, I've discovered that you can definitely build up the color. I have a pretty late wash of the blush on my cheeks, but there have been a couple times where I've accidentally like over built up the blush. So even though when you first start off, it's really not that pigmented, there it is on my finger when I just rub it on the top, that's kind of what I get off. As you can see, it's like not super intense. It's pretty sheer when you just kind of like rub it out, but you can build it up. So I think that that is nice about this blush, is that if you are someone that just wants a really late wash of blush, is worried about over blushing, this is really great. This has been a great blush on top of a number of different foundations. I've tried it on a whole bunch of different foundations. It sits well on top of it and it looks nice. I do believe actually all our cream products contain coconut oil, and I haven't had any like really bad breakouts from it, but I really wish there just wasn't coconut oil. I wish cosmetics just didn't contain coconut oil. It's a very dicey ingredient. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not okay. I just wish overall that brands would not use coconut oil in their products. It'd just be better overall. But I do have to say I like this, and I think this is a really nice cream blush formula available at the drugstore, available at a little bit better price. I believe this was around $15, which is a bit expensive, but you do get like a lot of product. Like, I'm still twisting this up. Like, you get a lot of product. Still going. Okay, there's the end of it. I've been using a little bit of it, but you do get about that much product, which that's a lot of blush. And I think for around the $15 price point, you know, that's gonna last you quite a while. And I do have to say too, this blush wears well on my cheeks. It doesn't break down on me. I'm not losing the color. I had that problem with the Honest Beauty blush, which is at a similar price point to this. The Honest Beauty cream blush is similar in price to this, but this one wears a lot better on my cheeks throughout the day. Like, at the end of the day, I still see blush on my cheeks. If you have problems with blushes wearing well on your cheeks, this one definitely has been long lasting on me. And so I have to say I like it. It's creamy, it's easy to blend out, it's sheer but buildable. Like, it kind of hits all the marks. It's like 4 or 5 shades of this blush, so I think you can definitely find one that will work well for you. So we're gonna move on to the bronzer. I can't remember if there are 2 bronzers and 1 highlight, or there's 2 highlights and 1 bronzer. So you don't get a lot of shade options with the bronzer and highlight. This is the bronzer shade in Bronze Splash, and it is definitely a shimmery bronzer. I've got it here on my ring finger. The blush is not shimmery, but the bronzer definitely is. And similar to the blush, it's very sheer because as you can see, I'm applying it, but not really a lot of color is showing up. So you've got the blush over here and you got the bronzer like right over here. You can kind of see it more in the fact that it's reflecting the light. I'm not a huge bronzer person. I'm gonna start off by saying that. Cream, powder, whatever. I just don't wear bronzer often. I think it's because my skin is so pale, it's really hard for me to find bronzers that actually look good on me. And so for that reason, I just end up not reaching for them very often. But I have to say, I am surprised by this bronzer. First of all, I kind of like that it's more light reflecting. Like, I really think it does give that sun-kissed glow to your cheeks. Also, I really like that it's sheer because, I don't know about you, but getting too much bronzer on, it looks so bad. And with this bronzer, because it is a more sheer formula, you can really kind of build it up. And I've got it on today, but I feel like it just gives a nice like color to my face. Like I've got it around the top of my face up here and then around the perimeter over here and on my cheekbones, you know, like this back area here. And so I think it just gives a nice glow, a nice amount of color, but isn't too intense. I think if you have a deeper skin tone, deeper than medium, this bronzer is not going to show up on you at all. I think you really have to have a fair to light skin tone for this bronzer to work. But that being said, I've not found many bronzers that actually work on fair skin. I wish there were more options in terms of bronzers. Like I think, you know, there's like 4 or 5 blushes. There kind of needs to be like 3 or 4 bronzers realistically for a wide range of skin tones. But this one does work well for being light or fair. And the color is good. It's a nice gold bronzer. It's not too red. It doesn't turn me orange. It is a nice natural skin toned bronzer, if that makes sense. So I do like this. I'm just not the biggest bronzer person overall. The sheerness of the formula, the glow of the bronzer, the color of the bronzer, all of those factors actually make me want to use this bronzer, which I think is pretty impressive for someone that doesn't actually like bronzer. It's the same price point as the blush. The cream highlight I have is in the shade Opal Mist. Let me just start off by saying it's not the most blinding cream highlighter. I've been using the RMS Living Luminizer and I think that highlighter is definitely more intense, but this one is quite nice. I'm gonna swatch it for you here. I've got it on my pinky finger and let's see, I'll apply it over here. Okay, so I've got it like right over here on my hand, but it's not super intense. And I think this is a pretty good shade. It's a light enough shade that it works on my fair skin. It is buildable, like all the cream products are. Like the cream bronzer, like the cream blush, it's buildable. So you can definitely get to a rather intense highlight. Like I think the highlight I have going right now, I think it looks pretty good. You'll have to let me know what you think. It's not my favorite, like I prefer the Living Luminizer, but it does work very well. It's creamy, it's blendable, it's buildable. And I think that's really my emphasis with all these cream products is they actually work pretty well. They stay on the skin, they build, they blend. You can have them be sheer, you can have them build up to something more intense. They're pretty versatile. I honestly was quite impressed. I was not overall expecting these Aglow cream products to perform as well as they do. I'm now gonna move on to their liquid lipsticks. I believe a while ago, I got a request to review these and somehow I never did. So when I was ordering these other products, I decided to just go ahead and pick up the liquid lipstick too. And I have the shade Flushed Petal. This is the color I'm wearing right now, and it's a pretty intense pink color, but it's a pretty pink color. I've been thinking about how to describe this. It's an unusual formula. If you think that this is going to be a matte liquid lipstick, it's not. 100% it is not. It is, as you can see, rather glossy. It transfers. If I were to kiss my husband, it would definitely come off on him. Kind of reminds me of the 100% pure lip caramel formula and kind of like the Aglow Beauty lip serums. Though 100% just not the same quality, not the same level as the Aglow lip serums. It doesn't have the same ingredients. It's just not as lovely of a product. but it reminds me of them in terms of the hydratingness of it. Surprisingly long wearing factor for this liquid lipstick, even though it is a glossy liquid lipstick that doesn't dry down, and in terms of the pigment. So as you can see, it is very pigmented. So this is like if you want the feeling of a lip gloss, but you want the pigment of a lipstick, if that makes sense. It's more pigmented than a lip gloss, 100%. Other than really the Clove & Howl lip glazes and the Fit Glow lip serums, I don't like lip glosses most of the time. I don't find them to have enough pigment. I don't find them to be long enough wearing. So when I first tried on this formula and realized it wasn't going to dry matte, I was like, oh no, Kat, you're gonna hate this. Because I don't like the lip caramels from 100% Pure. I had one, I kept trying it kept bleeding on me, I just didn't like it. The first time I wore this, at the end of the day, I was like, wait a minute, I actually kind of like this. And I like it because it is a more hydrating formula, so it is extremely comfortable on the lips. Kind of mind-blowingly comfortable. In that way, that's how it reminds me of the lip serum, is it is super comfortable on the lips. Like, it just feels good to have it on. It does transfer, it does come off, but it actually ends up staining your lips. And so at the end of the day, even though the initial gloss and color is gone, my lips are still tinted. The color is not completely gone. There's like a stain left behind, which I like. And that's also kind of what I wanted the Au Naturel Sustain lip stains to be. Like, this is what I wanted those to be, but this is way more comfortable. Like, it's not drying like the Sustains are on me. I am shocked to say this, but I really like it. Like, if these things I'm saying about this formula sound good to you, then it's definitely worth checking out. There's quite a range of colors. The only complaint I had is that a lot of the colors looked rather brown, like they had brown undertones in them, which if you like that, I think you have a wide selection of colors. This was one of the few kind of pink shades, and it's a pretty intense pink, but it's one of the few pink shades that I found in the collection, so I don't think a lot of the other shades would be ones that I like. And this is a little bit more intense. Like, this would have been a good summer color, but as we're moving into fall, I think it's a little bit intense. But I just like the formula of it. And that's something important too, is like, if you normally don't like this type of product and then you try a version of that product that you actually like, I think that's even a bigger deal. Like, normally I would hate products like this. Just, I would not like them. I would find them to be too slippery. I would find the color to wear off too quickly. I would find that they bleed. This one really hasn't bled on me, and it's a pretty intense color. So if it was bleeding, I would see it. And I just like that it leaves a stain behind, and it is so comfortable. Like, I always expect it to like dry down and get uncomfortable at some point, but it never does. It remains comfortable the whole time. Even though it's such an intense color, when I apply it with the doe foot applicator is shaped in a way where I can pretty easily keep the outline of my lips. Like, I'm not struggling to apply it. I would say this is a cross between a gloss and a lipstick, and kind of has, to me, the best attributes of both. Overall, what do I think of all these kind of newer Burt's Bees makeup products? I actually am pretty impressed, I have to say. Like, the cream, blush, bronzer, and highlight are definite yeses for me. Surprisingly, the liquid lipstick is. And the concealer, if you like brightening, not full coverage concealers, and you can use one of the 3 shades, which we need more shades, but other than that, it's actually a pretty decent concealer. And I enjoy that it doesn't crease on me. I enjoy that it, is an easy to work with concealer. And I like how long wearing the cream, blush, bronzer, and highlight are, and also how long wearing the liquid lipstick is too, and how comfortable it is. There's some negatives, but overall I actually like everything, and I've been really enjoying trying them out, and I keep reaching for them. And even though I filmed this video, I've tried them out, you're still gonna see me using these products, and they might actually appear in my favorites video for the month of September, so they're definitely in contention for that. I hope you found this video useful. I did do a first impressions of the rest of the Burt's Bees makeup that was launched, and I will link that video up above in case you're interested in checking that out. And yeah, let me know if you enjoyed this video. Let me know if it was helpful. And if you're gonna check out any of these products or you've been trying them, let me know that too. And thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also check out my Instagram. I'll have my handle down below. I'm at naturallybeautifulgirl, and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you are notified of when I post new videos. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.